A relatively simple concept, but an important one for the futures market is known as this commodity basis. So what is this commodity basis? This commodity basis is actually the difference between the local cash price and the relevant futures contract price for a specific period of time. So how do we calculate the commodity basis? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take the cash price minus the futures price. It's that simple. We're just going to simply take the cash minus the futures to come up with this commodity basis. Well, why is this important? Well, the commodity basis actually it provides a significant amount of information to producers and agribusinesses. It helps in making production, forward pricing, hedging, and storage decisions. And matter of fact, many people believe that understanding the basis patterns is the most fundamental means of evaluating marketing alternatives. So bases they tend to follow a historical patterns, and understanding these, a person can make a better decision and reduce their price risk. So as we go on in this chapter, we're actually going to look at the commodity basis, and what we're going to find out is that if the commodity basis is moving in one way or moving in the other, if it's known as widening or narrowing or strengthening or weakening. If it moves one way or the other, you actually stand to either make more in the futures than what you're losing in the cash, or vice versa. So knowing that principle and knowing how it works can actually give you a better insight into whether or not you should forward price, or you should actually engage in a futures contract. And another example, and another positive aspect, is it can actually help in predicting the local cash price. So how do we calculate this basis? Well, like we said, it's cash price minus this futures price. So let's look at a commodity basis example. We have Jane Farmer. Jane Farmer, she raises corn and feeder cattle in Illinois. The local elevator is buying corn for $3.43 a bushel. So we have our local cash price at that point in time. We have our local cash price of $3.43 per bushel. Now, the local the local auction barn is selling 7 to 8 weight cattle, feeder cattle, for $175.56 per hundredweight. So here we have the cash price for the feeder cattle as well. So now we have our local cash price. So what else do we need in order to calculate this commodity basis? Well, we need our futures price. So on that same day, whenever they look up this commodity price or the local cash price, they also look up the futures price on that same day for the relevant contracts. That's another key aspect about this. We're looking at these relevant futures contracts. So if we're going to be selling corn and we want to know the local basis or the commodity basis for that corn, you better believe that we're going to be looking at corn futures. And not only that, well, we're going to be looking at the corn futures for the month that we are actually looking to sell that particular commodity. So in this particular example, they're going to be selling corn in December. So they're going to be looking at the corn futures market. This might be, and like it says right here, November 4th. Well, they're going to be selling that corn in December. So they're looking at that December, or that next closest commodity contract price, that relevant futures contract. So, and then the November feeder cattle is this $173.46. So we go ahead and calculate that out. We put that over here on our little table, and we take the local cash minus the futures price. And we notice that local basis, that commodity basis, is actually negative 10 cents. Well, what does that mean? Well, right below it, it says under. So what that means is that particular commodity is 10 cents cheaper, or 10 cents below, or under the local, or under the futures price. The cash price is 10 cents under the futures price. So what about for the feeder cattle? Well, the local market was $175.56. The futures price is 173.46. So we do that math. We take the cash minus the futures, and we get $2.10, a positive $2.10. So we're at $2.10 over. Well, what does this mean? It means that the local cash is actually selling cattle at a higher price than what it's going for in the futures by actually $2.10. So it's $2.10 over. And we're looking at that commodity basis to see how much it's changing over time. And like it says up here, that these bases tend to follow historical seasonal patterns. And we actually have some graphs that we're going to show you in a little bit. But essentially what you need to know is how to calculate the basis. The basis is the cash price minus the futures price. And we know that it's going to follow historical seasonal patterns. And the other key thing about this is as you're comparing these cash prices to the futures price, you need to make sure that you're comparing it to these relevant future contracts for that specific period of time.